Hello folks, this is Leo from Codes and Posters, and now I'm going to talk about this one here. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet. What can I say about this one? Well, I think this quote here basically is saying to you that you shouldn't actually go all in into something without actually doing some research before, and then kind of trying to understand the basics of this thing that you're trying to do, right? Because you might, for example, just a second. Let me. Oh fuck. Shit. All right. Hi guys, this is Leo from Codes and Posters, and today I'm gonna talk about this quote here. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet. So, what do I have to say about this quote, in my opinion? You shouldn't jump right into a river with both feet, which means you shouldn't go into doing something without actually getting some research and getting some knowledge about this thing that you want to do, right? Like, for example, would you walk on a street that you don't know with your eyes closed? Or would you go work in a country without doing some previous research about the culture, about how this country is and how is the people there and everything? Or would you work for a company totally blind without doing any research about the company? And would you marry someone without seeing the person? Would you marry someone and spend the rest of your life with someone without actually going on a few dates and actually dating and spending some time before together, especially if you're gonna live together with someone? This is something that I see a lot of people doing this mistake. Like they are dating someone and then they decide to get married before actually living together to see how this person is when you actually live with someone. It's a completely different thing, right? So yeah, I mean that's something related to this quote somehow. I think this quote talks about basically you actually being careful with your life and not going into unknown territories with both your feet, right? Both feet. So yeah, it's very important in your life to innovate and to do new stuff all the time and to explore new things, new activities, new job workplaces, new companies to work, maybe possibly move to another country, which is something I did a lot. I think I did like for 3 or 4 times. I moved to different countries, and basically every time I did something like this in my life, I did something new that I was not much aware of. Of course, I did a little bit of research before doing it, right? And actually, I made many mistakes in my life before because I didn't do enough research. So, for example, I can tell you that I lost a lot of money in Dubai when I was in Dubai, and I got a cold call from a financial advisor there, which actually he managed to go through selling me a long-term retirement plan, which is like an insurance scheme from a company called Zurich Insurance. So basically he managed me to sell that, and I blindly didn't do any research about it, and I got ripped off. Basically I lost $20,000 by actually figuring out that was a very shitty financial retirement plan that took all my money through a lot of hidden taxes, right? So in that sense, I should have done my research before, because when I found out about the scheme, I went on Google and searched and everything, and I found that a lot of people were complaining, and there was a lot of problems. People were having a lot of problems getting out of this scheme. And then obviously, because it is a scheme, it's supposed to give you it's supposed to scheme you basically, so you can't just get out and get your money back. You get out and you have to pay penalties, and they don't explain why, the reason, but you already signed, but they don't mention any of this before you signed. So yeah, I mean, I was totally naive, totally stupid by doing this. I did this thinking about my retirement, and I lost, basically, because was not smart enough to do my research. So yeah, if I have take a look at this quote before, maybe I would think twice before signing for this thing, but I didn't do. I was naive, stupid at the time, and I made a big mistake, lost $20,000. So here you go. That's for you to actually understand that yes, the world is full of schemes, and even if it's not a scheme, the world is a very complicated place to navigate with. So you gotta understand, you gotta have some basic knowledge about anything that you want to do, because you might ending up in jail also if you don't know. Like, for example, give you an example, a story that I heard about a guy who was in Japan, and he got arrested in Japan because he was in one of these shops in Japan. If you go to Tokyo, there are some shops that takes the entire building, and the same shop has like 7 floors. But each floor, even though it belongs to the same shop, each floor has a separate cashier. And this guy, he went to one, he was in one floor, and then he bought he got something from that floor, and then he went down to get more stuff, possibly to find more stuff to buy on the other floor. So he went down on the escalator, and then the security went on him and arrested him, and they called the police and everything. And the police went to his hotel, took him to his hotel, and checked all his bags and everything. Basically, police was convinced that he was stealing from the shop, but he was not stealing. He was just in his mind, he was in the same shop, but in the Japanese culture, when you, even if you are in the same shop, you have to buy on the same floor. So you have, each floor has their own cashiers, and you have to buy on the cashier. And I noticed this when I went to Tokyo. It's true. Each floor has a cashier, and you have to buy on the cashier. Even if you want to buy stuff from the other floors, you have to buy it again. Yeah, you have to actually make each floor a purchase, which is quite a stupid model, isn't it? That any other country doesn't follow this model. But in Japan, that's how they operate. So, yeah, I mean, this kind of example is this kind of thing that is inevitable. Everybody would get arrested, right? But yeah, before it's important, if you travel, it's important to actually learn about the place before you go and understand their values and the culture, because something like this might happen to you, you know? Like, for example, you don't want to take a drone and fly your drone to somewhere that is forbidden, and then you're going to end up losing your drone and being arrested and lose your vacations and holidays and so on, right? So yeah, I mean, many stories, you can see a lot of stories on many different websites about people who who made this kind of mistakes, you know. So I think it relates a lot to this quote here. Like, I think it's a Chinese proverb, and basically, don't go to the river, don't go to the river and test the depth with both feet, obviously, because you might just fall into a black hole, right? So what else I can say? Also, it's important to study, but don't be, I mean, obviously you're not going to spend your entire life studying everything. You can't, nobody can, right? So yeah, it's just important to have a little bit of knowledge. And where to get this knowledge? Well, websites, reliable sources, right? Like Wikipedia can be one. I mean, nowadays on YouTube, you get local people showing their countries on YouTube. So you got also tourists showing their countries, each country through a tourist perspective, right? I'm from Brazil, and you got a lot of people ask me in Brazil about how is it dangerous? Like, everybody's concerned if Brazil is a dangerous country. Yeah, and then I tell them the truth, that it is dangerous, and yes, they can get killed, which is the truth. So, unfortunately, but obviously it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen with everyone, and obviously it happens with the people that doesn't do the research, and then probably they go to Rio de Janeiro and they go to some areas they're not touristical areas, and they're not supposed to go there. So obviously these kind of things, they can happen. So that's why, again, so important to do your research and maybe get a local guide. You know, the more information is not ignorance is not bliss. I'm not sure I agree with this quote, although I'm gonna make a poster of it. I'm not sure I agree 100% of it. I think information is very important, and finding the right sources of information is also very important, because also people can try to scam you. They can try to persuade you they can give you a fake information for you to go and buy a product that is a scam, right? So that can also happen. So you gotta be really smart to know the best way to get the right information, the best sources of information, right? Because the world is very difficult, it's a very, very tough place, right? Like, each country is the systems are completely different from each other, right? Which is quite interesting. So so you can actually see a diversity, how the human beings and the human mind are so creative and can be so diverse, right? How can each country have completely different cultures, right? This is something amazing to see when you travel a lot. Like me, I've been to more than 40 countries, and it's incredible to see like how each country is totally different from the other in many aspects, and how people manage to live differently on each country, right? So yeah, do your research before committing to something, before doing something. How important it is to do your research, how important it is to read and get different opinions on people. Don't be attached into only one source of opinion, right? See different sources of information, different sources of opinion also, I think, is extremely important, so you can make your own decisions by yourself, get your own judgment, and get your own conception of what is good and what is bad for yourself, because in the end of the day, no one else can decide for you what is good and bad. You have to figure out what is your truth, no one else's truth, right? And then after you make your decisions, then you pursue something, either a new job, either a new adventure somewhere, a new relationship, or even if you're considering buying something, or if you're considering moving to another neighborhood, or buying a house, or buying a car. I think the more research you make and more different sources that you take, better your decisions are going to be, more assertive you're going to be, and your chances of success are going to be much higher. You're going to be a much happier person. But be careful to not be so neurotic about these things, otherwise you might end up not enjoying your life, right? So if you imagine you spend 1 week doing a research for a 3-day trip. I don't think that makes any sense. I would definitely not do it, right? And I mean, I really enjoy doing my research. When I travel, I see a lot of books, a lot of travel books. I see specifically the kind of stuff that I like to see in each city. I mark everything. I have a Google Maps, which is crazy. It's like if you look at my Google Maps, it's like all dots of places that I want to visit because I used to, man. Now I don't do these things anymore, but I used to do a lot of these things, in the past. I used to spend a lot of my time on that, on research, and it's crazy. I mean, how much time I spend doing these things. Yeah. But anyway, is there anything else that I could say about this quote? Even if you do a lot of research, eventually you might do mistakes. Mistakes are there to be made. You can't escape from mistakes. That's the thing. But I believe that you have to find a balance, right? You have to find your balance to actually, you can't go blindly on something, completely blindly, and you can't also go completely neurotic into something. You have to actually embrace a little bit of the unknown, right? So yeah, that's something interesting, because you can't do your crazy research about something expecting that everything is gonna happen the way that you planned, because it won't. Life just doesn't happen like this, because the world is constantly changing. Everything changes, right? So you might do a research about something, and then suddenly that thing when you are there, or is already not is already changed based on some other circumstances that you didn't even consider. And that happens a lot with the stock market, right? You see like these investors, hedge fund managers, like you see them researching about the companies which are they're going to invest, and trying to time the market, but most of the times they always fail, because you can't. This life is unpredictable. Like nobody knows. I don't know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow doing another video like this. I hope I am, but you never know how much of your research is going to be beneficial, but you have to do it anyway, right? So I think the key here is to not be very neurotic, and at the same time not be very naive. Try to find the balance, because everything in life is about balance, right? I believe. So that's it. Yeah, I don't think I'm creative enough to come with other stuff to say. Probably I am, but I think for now I should finish with this video, right? So here's the quote: "Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet." Thank you very much for supporting my channel, and see you again. Bye.